Hey, it's Enigma HUD. Sometimes I am surprised at how people still comment on older videos that I made. In particular, this 9/11 truther video that I made last year. It was called 9/11 Truthers Are Idiots. And, people still comment on it. And, one guy disagreed with everything I said and didn't like what I was saying at all. I guess that's fine. And he started giving me, argument after argument after argument after argument, to the point where, I was like, it'll be easier for me to respond to this guy's arguments with a video. Now, to give a little background to this, he started off by telling me to go read some books, articles, scientific papers about history, physics, chemistry, mathematics, politics, social structure, system, economy. I mean, like this whole list of shit that I'm supposed to read in order to be better informed. And all because of this 9/11 video. Oh, I'm supposed to read all of that shit so I'm better informed? Are you kidding me? Anyway, I told him, you know what? Why don't you present your arguments? Because you accused me of logical fallacies. But yet, you didn't present any arguments yourself. So why don't you do that, and I'll address them. So he did, and he made like a whole bunch of arguments. And I didn't even read all of them yet. Because I don't think I need to. I don't need to prepare myself and read this scientific article or that scientific article in order to refute his points. I'm just going to read them live, never having read them before, and I'll address them one by one. Okay? Okay, so this is what he says. Alright, this might take several comments, though. First of all, you're trying to set up a straw man here. I can't tell you why it was an inside job, because that is not what I'm proposing. Yeah, right. That's the thing that's kind of annoying. When people just say they're asking questions, you already have in your mind a conclusion, okay? You're asking questions, but what are the questions leading towards? What in your mind are you thinking? I'm willing to bet in your mind you're thinking that it was probably an inside job. Okay, fair enough. Maybe it's a straw man, but let's get into the arguments. It is very possible that it was an outside job aided by elite globalists, Freemasons, and is now being covered up by the government because it serves as a new Pearl Harbor. They stated 2 years before 9/11 that they would need such an event to further imperialistic U.S. agenda. Now, that I do agree. I do think that the government had ideas for what they wanted to do in the Middle East before 9/11 happened. I do not think that they were behind 9/11, though. They did capitalize on 9/11 in a very unethical and illegal way, in my opinion. But I don't think that they were behind it. Alright, so moving on. So I can't exactly tell you who did it and who knew it in advance, but I can present evidence that the official story is incorrect. When the official story is incorrect, there has to be a new independent investigation to find out what really happened leading up to, during, and after 9/11, ultimately exposing the real perpetrators. Let's start with the physics. To accelerate an object down at the rate of gravity, or anything like that, is converted into kinetic energy. Once this object hits something on its way down, some of this kinetic energy is used to accelerate other parts, destroy or even pulverize materials. Some of it's converted back into potential energy, meaning one thing, the object slows down at the rate of gravity without slowing down at any point. One can conclude that none, or very little of its energy, could have been used to cause damage. What? What? What the hell is that supposed to mean? Alright, first of all, I don't think this guy knows anything about physics. Okay, yeah. Potential energy is basically gravitational energy and will pull down on all objects at the same rate, 9.8 meters per second squared. I did a video on general relativity explaining that, by the way. Yeah, well, the portion which actually fell down is massive. Okay, that is a massive chunk of stuff that's being pulled down. That whole building is being pulled down by gravity. Okay, it's being held up though by its structure. Yeah, I can't even like exactly like discuss exactly what he's talking about because I don't know what he's talking about. So I'm just going to explain it in a way that makes sense. Okay, it's being held up by its structure, but the structure was weakened, obviously, because a plane flew into it. So that whole chunk above the point of impact is now a massive, unstable piece that fell down. And when it fell down, it crushed everything underneath it because it's so massive. I think that's pretty obvious. Okay, now you're saying once this object hits something on its way down, some of this kinetic energy is used to accelerate other parts. Yes, that's correct. That mass, let me get my finger up here. This mass comes down, right? And it's accelerating all the parts underneath it. So it's polarizing, destroying everything underneath it, and that also contributes to the damage. It's like a snowball effect. Once you get the little snowball on top, and then it rolls down, it gets bigger, 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 because everything is contributing to the damage. So this is how implosion works. They count on this to happen when they want to implode a building on purpose. Now you mentioned since the towers fell top to bottom at nearly the rate of gravity, without slowing down at any point. What? What? Where are you getting that from? Where the hell are you getting that from? Did you calculate the speed at which it was falling at? Oh, man, you are so stupid. At the rate of gravity. It was I don't even know what the hell he's trying to say. One can conclude that none or very little of its energy could have been used to cause damage. Conservation of energy has in parentheses. What you said has nothing to do with the conservation of energy. It has nothing to do with it. You're saying that that mass couldn't have caused that much damage? That there had to be more energy put into the system? Like there had to be more explosions? Can you at least say that in a way that makes sense? And the answer to that is no. The mass is sufficient enough to cause that much damage. Okay, since large parts of the building were pulverized into micron dust, we have to find another source of energy that could have caused this. No. In this case, the conservation of mass applies. It doesn't matter if it's in little tiny dust or if it's in big chunks. And no, they weren't pulverized into tiny dust. Yes, some of it was pulverized into tiny dust, but most of it, the conservation of mass applies. That mass is still the same. It doesn't matter if it's in fragments. It's still the same mass. Okay? The mass is not destroyed. It's not. It's conserved. So it doesn't matter. There was jet fuel, of course. Let's back up. To disintegrate concrete to micron dust, CO2 and calcium oxide, temperatures of 760 degrees plus are needed. If we assume that only 50,000 tons of concrete will pulverize, the energy needed to heat all that concrete from room temperature to 760 Celsius is about 2.9 times 10 to the 13 joules. If we assume the plane was fully loaded, it was not. Even after being in the air for some time, its fuel can provide about 2.2 times 10 to the 12 joules of thermal energy. If we further assume 100% energy conversion efficiency, and he has in parentheses impossible, the jet fuel could provide enough energy to pulverize 2,300 tons of concrete. Okay, no. We're not really talking about concrete and heat up concrete. Okay, what destroyed the structure was the impact of the airplane, and then the jet fuel assisted fires were weakening the steel supports, and I know that they had heating flame resistant coating on them, but that was blown away by the impact as well. And you have to keep, I know that a lot of truthers say stuff like it